For this one, you'll want to use a super bulky yarn like Woolly's Thick and Quick. This one is readily available and it comes in all sorts of colors. But if you do decide to use a different yarn, just make sure it's a super bulky, so look for a number 6 on the label, because if you use anything bigger or smaller, the sizing won't be right. You'll also need a 9mm crochet hook. To get started, make a slip knot like this. Place the hook on that loop and pull to draw it up. Then make 16 chains. If this is your first time making a chain, watch how I turn my hook and how I'm holding the yarn in my other hand. It's not something you'll get right away, but it's definitely something to strive towards. This is the easiest way to make chains. When you have 16 chains, go ahead and check to make sure it fits comfortably around your wrist. You'll want it to sit an inch or 2 below your wrist bone. And if you need to add or subtract chains to make it fit, that's perfectly fine. Now hold it out straight like this and pull the slip knot side up to the hook, making sure it doesn't twist in the process. Then find the first chain here and insert your hook there. Then wrap the yarn, pull it through the chain and through the loop on your hook. That's a slip stitch, and that'll secure the 2 ends together. Make another chain and we'll single crochet in the same stitch. So insert the hook, wrap the yarn, pull it through, yarn over and pull through 2. All right, from here, find the next chain and single crochet there. And again in the next chain. And keep going so you have a single crochet in every chain. However many chains you started with is how many single crochets you'll make. So remember, I started with 16, so I will have 16 single crochets when I'm finished with this round. It'll be really tempting to put a single crochet here, but this chain belongs to the first single crochet you made. Now, if you are in doubt and you're not sure if you should make a stitch in the place that you're thinking, you can count by looking at the stitch from the top and just counting the little V's. If you count the same number of stitches as chains you started, you don't need to make another single crochet in that spot. Now, this little guy right here is the chain you made at the very beginning of the first round. And right over from that, you'll see the V for your first single crochet. Then single crochet, just like before. And again in the next stitch. And you'll keep going, making a single crochet in every stitch. One thing to note here is I'm putting my hook under both loops of that V for this look, but just know that you can play with this in future projects. Wherever you place your hook, it'll give you a slightly different look. And for this one, it's pretty simple. It's pretty basic. Now you'll notice when you get back around, we didn't do anything special. So this technique is called crocheting in a spiral, and it's just like a spiral staircase. Each stitch builds on one another, kind of like each step builds on one another, sort of. And it makes for a seamless tube. So keep going until your work measures about 4 inches from that beginning edge. When you get a minute, it's probably a good idea No, it's definitely a good idea to have a look at the pattern too. You can follow along with this video and make the project and never need to look at the pattern, but as a new crocheter, it's a really good idea to start familiarizing yourself with patterns and what they look like so you can learn and progress as you work more projects. You can view it completely free on my website too. Just check the description below for a link. I want to mention a resource I think you'll find really helpful since you're brand new to crochet. My complete beginner's guide to crochet will give you a more comprehensive learning experience than what you're finding with this project tutorial. In that guide, I'll walk you through everything you need to know as a beginner and nothing you don't. You'll see tips for choosing the right hook, the right yarn, and a few other tools you'll want to have on hand as you continue with your journey. And you'll find several short and to the point tutorials for the techniques and stitches you need to learn first. Then to wrap it up, I'll recommend some more beginner-friendly full project tutorials I already have available for you to dive in and practice what you've learned. Oh, and it's completely free. Just visit BHooked.com/howtocrochet or click the link on your screen here or in the description box below to get started. Alright, so when it measures 4 inches or just a little bit more, make 3 chains and then skip 3 stitches and single crochet in the next. So that makes the thumb hole. And keep going with the single crochet in every stitch until you get back around to the thumb hole. If you need to make any adjustments, if you need this hole to be a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, just like we did before, you can add a chain and you'll skip an additional stitch. So you're maybe making 4 chains and skipping 4 stitches. Or maybe you need it to be smaller, then you would make 2 chains and skip 2 stitches. You want to be careful not to add or miss any stitches here, so watch my stitch placement carefully. You have this stitch before the thumb hole here, then make 3 single crochets around the chain. If you did 3 chains, if you ended up doing 4, you'll make 4, or if you did 2, you'll make 2. And this is the stitch after the thumb hole. Now, if you're not sure if you did it right, just start counting from the next stitch over and see if your stitch count is the same as it was before. If you're 1 short, you know you've missed a stitch. If you have 1 too many, you know you added a stitch somewhere and you just want to rip back and try again. Then just keep going with a single crochet in every stitch like you did earlier, and keep going until you count 2 rounds of stitches on top of the thumb hole. So you're really just making 2 more rounds. So we have 2 rounds on the thumb hole, and you'll stop about the same placement as the little tail at the bottom edge. Before fastening off, we need to fix this little jog where we worked in a spiral. This happens all the time, so don't worry about that. You didn't do anything wrong. And to fix that, we'll just simply slip stitch in the next 2 stitches. Then trim the yarn and pull all the way up on the loop. This is a little different than I would normally fasten off. We're creating an invisible join here. So thread the tail on a yarn needle and find the next stitch over and run the needle through it from outside in. Then run the needle down through the middle of your last slip stitch. Then just weave it in along the inside. And for the tail down at the bottom, If you have a gap or a bump or anything like that, just run the yarn wherever it needs to go to tidy it up. And then weave it in along the inside. And that's all there is to it. Well, I mean, you'll want to follow the same instructions for the other one, of course, but there you have it. Don't forget to check the description below for a link to the pattern. Again, it's always a great idea as a beginner to look at that while following a tutorial so you can start to get familiar with reading patterns. And I'm guessing you're new here, and I'm hoping you'll stick around so I can keep inspiring you to make something that makes you happy. Crochet might be a little frustrating and try your patience at first, but I promise it does get a lot easier, and I would love to help you with that. I make full project tutorials like this for crochet and knitting all the time, as well as other helpful tips and tricks videos pretty much every week. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss it. Happy hooking, and I'll see you in the next one.